faces. Welcome. It's nice to see you again. And for those of you I haven't met before, hello. So, as I said, my name is Kim, and I am a teacher and a Buddhist student. And, at heart, really, what I am is a human being. And I have found the practices and the teachings of awakening to be incredibly helpful in my life, right? And helpful with all this huge range of human experience that we're all going to have, right? From the most wonderful joys and gratitude to very difficult losses and changes in life. And so I wrote this book, Navigating Grief and Loss, because I wanted to share all of these techniques and orientations, really, that supported me and enabled me to be, these practices enabled me to be present for very hard things, for things that maybe without these tools I would have looked away from. Right. And so these tools are, of course, contemplation and different meditation practices, but also, teachings in wisdom, the truth of our lives. And the truth of our lives, well, everything's impermanent and changing, right? Cause and effect are real. All of our words and our thoughts and our actions, they have outcomes, right? We're interconnected. We all have struggles and suffering. These are just a few of the truths of our lives, which I know none of you would disagree with, but at the same time, most of us don't live from them. We're always surprised by changes, right? I had a Tibetan teacher. He was an older man. He grew up in a monastery in what was Tibet, and he said when he was maybe 14, he'd been at the monastery for a while training, and someone came from his village and mentioned that one of his friends from the village, who was also his age, they grew up together, had died in an accident. And this teacher said, he was so surprised. Remember, he said to us, I couldn't believe it. He said to my teacher, I can't believe it. And his teacher said, what can't you believe? That's what you've been training in. Okay? No, it is not a surprise that someone died. It may be incredibly sad, and it may cause deep grief, and yet our lives are impermanent. So tonight, there are three things that we'll be talking about and that I think are very useful to learn and that are possible for all of us to learn and practice, And these three things are, number one, that we can learn to be able to hold all our losses, our grief, our sadness. We can hold it with kindness, and we really can understand it doesn't have to devastate us, right? It doesn't have to ruin our lives, right? And what that requires is compassion. And that requires the quality of compassion, and compassion is being able to be with suffering, yours and anyone else's, and without looking away, and also with a sense of wanting to alleviate, right? A sense of moving towards whatever is difficult. Okay, so it's the brain scientists make a distinction between it and empathy. Empathy is that sense of, oh, you fell, I can feel you fell. Compassion has that added piece of, oof, I feel you fell. Let me help you up. Okay? So that's the first thing that we can learn. And the second is that we can learn to really take care of ourselves, to be patient with ourselves in the midst of a loss, a divorce, getting fired, a loss of someone you love. Okay, that in taking care of ourselves, that means recognizing that it's okay to have many, feelings, to have many different physical moods and sensations, and in taking care of ourselves, also to let go of trying to control it all, trying to control how you feel, trying to control what's in your heart, trying to control what's in your mind. Okay, this second part, it means you don't have a timetable. You don't have to, feel better in 2 weeks or a month, or if I'm not over this in 3 weeks, I'm going to be mad at myself, right? It's allowing ourselves to recognize it's not really up to me. I don't have control over what's going on, but I do have control over how I relate to it. Okay. And if, one of the good outcomes or positive outcomes of taking care of yourself is then you will not be like putting your feelings on others, shaming, blaming, or having a desperate neediness. This doesn't mean people can't support you, but there is a distinction. Okay. And the third thing to learn, that you can learn, is to recognize that you're not alone in your suffering, in your grief, your mourning or bereavement. This connects us to all people. It's shared by everyone, everywhere, past, in the present, and in the future. It's really inescapable. Okay? And this is part of the reality that I mentioned, And it's interesting because everyone I meet, including me, try to get out of that somehow. And the way we try to get out of it is maybe like trying to control things or figure it out. Why did it happen? What if, right? And it's useful to reflect on your life and your decisions. It's also useful to be in a place where you're not trying to figure out or understand or control anything. You're just relating to yourself as you are, with kindness and patience. Okay, so these three practices or orientations are what I think can be very useful, and I know everyone here can learn. So that first, okay, the development of compassion, right? So we can be able to take care of ourselves. It's the first start. Right? This takes courage. And in the early Buddhist teachings, they describe the Buddha as having a great, brave heart of compassion. Okay? That's where the bravery and the courage comes in, and it seems so kind of easy, but it's really, the reason it's called bravery and courage is because for most of us to really be present with our struggles or suffering or with others is very hard. It does take a lot of courage. I don't know, even with someone you love, I know with people that I care about, if they're very distressed, sometimes my first reaction is to give them advice, to tell them they should do this. What about that, right? And the reason is not because that's wrong, but it's often because, it's so hard. I don't want them to feel that way. I don't want to feel that way, right? So the first part of developing compassion is the real courage to be present with suffering, okay? And if we all could do this skillfully, we would have a totally different world. Most of us have learned to either look away or reject, or like I said, try to give advice and try to fix it all. Some of you might have read my book in which I mentioned my dear friend Denise, that her death was a very powerful and difficult loss. And I saw very directly the difference. There was 4 of us very, very close to her. She was a single woman. Several of us had been friends with her for 30 years, and her sister was there. 2 of us did have some training in compassion and some experience with people dying. 2 of us didn't. And there was such a difference. I don't mean in the quality of our care for our friend in any way, but in the way we were able to approach and really be with this dying person, which is something very hard to be with, right? And compassion, I feel, really this courage to not look away, to alleviate what we can, and to just be with what we can't. This is this valuable courage that really gets us very far, okay? And this courage, I'm talking about it in the terms of death of my friend, but this courage is for, I lost a job and I feel so ashamed and stupid. I should have seen that coming. Everybody told me that was the worst place to work, And so those sorts of recriminations come up too. And compassion is, oh gosh, I have all this judgment about myself. When the truth is, I'm so sad and scared, or I'm very heartbroken, or whatever it is, allowing yourself the courage to feel this hurt, the courage to feel disappointment. Okay, that is such a teacher. So this is that first one. Will be practicing some metta meditation to help us develop this compassion and this courage. Now, the second learning is to learn to take care of ourselves, to really take care of ourselves. And that it really means to be able to be present with, to pay attention, to notice what's happening with you inside and outside, physically, mentally, emotionally. Okay. It sounds so simple. I have not yet met a person, including myself, who completely takes care of myself well, right? Some of us are very good at, we take care of our body and we don't take care of our emotions. Some of us have a very calm mind and we practice meditation and we're very steady and we don't go to the doctor, right? So a big learning is, well, how can I take care of myself effectively and wisely, right? And that takes mindfulness, right? That's the skill that it really takes a lot of mindfulness to pay attention to yourself, to notice your own impulses, habits, conditionings. I have someone very close to me. If they have an injury or a cut, the first thing they say is, I'm fine. No, I'm fine, right? And their practice is to say, I'm bleeding. Okay, that's the attention. Yes. Does it need something? Does it not? But if your first reaction is, I'm fine, you're not going to know. You can't see it, right? And part of, taking care of yourself, there's an old Zen saying, wisdom is eating when you're hungry and sleeping when you're tired. Okay, eating when you're hungry and sleeping when you're tired. This seems so obvious. This seems like, of course. Well, I don't know. I mean, at least, maybe every day I am hungry, but I'm busy and I don't eat. Or there's more chocolate in the kitchen and I'm going to go have it, right? When I'm not hungry. I'm up on the internet when I'm really tired. Or it's late in the morning and I'm still asleep, right? So it takes a lot of mindfulness and attention to truly take care of yourself well. And part of this is, in order to treat yourself well and take care of yourself, it doesn't require that you kind of beat yourself up, which seems to be the prevailing idea in our culture, that if you want to do something quote unquote better, that you have to really just tell yourself, well, I'm doing this so badly, I must figure it out. I must take care of myself better. I work with some younger women in their 20s, and they say things to me like, Kim, I am trying so hard to love myself, right? And they really are, and they're so frustrated. So loving yourself, taking care of yourself, it requires gentleness. Okay? It requires coming to your presence with a great openness and patience. And in that, I know John Kabat-Zinn, the great teacher, will say, with mindfulness, to be present to what's happening without judgment. But sometimes the judgment is what's happening, right? So part of what you might experience is not judging the judgment, right? Because then that's the pile on, right? So in my experience, it's something like, oh, why didn't I do that? That was so stupid. I always do that. That, I must be the dumbest one here, whatever it is. And so for my practice, it's, oh, wow, Kim, you're off. Come back here. Everything's okay. You just made a mistake, right? So it's this coming back, it's paying attention, it's noticing that, sometimes feelings are really, I was going to say powerful, but we all know that. Sometimes they're just things we haven't learned to take care of. Aspects of ourselves we were told, we shouldn't have, or we should be stronger. I love that one, stronger. Okay. Anyway, if you don't take care of your feelings, it's very likely that your thoughts and your words and your actions are going to be harmful to yourself or someone else. Okay. Because they're coming out of feelings that are not being attended to. Feelings like anger and frustration, sadness and neediness, ignorance and delusion. And when we take actions out of those mind states, which the Buddhists call poisons, we cause ourselves suffering. Okay? And we might cause others suffering too. So another reason for us to learn to take care of ourselves truly, compassionately, is because it affects the way we behave. So what mindfulness can help us do, we build the capacity, because it's hard at first to be with difficult feelings, especially if you haven't learned that skill. We're building this capacity through silence, through this wise and patient and gentle attention, right? And mindfulness, right? This needs to be done without devices. Okay, we're going to practice together tonight. But I'm going to encourage all of you, set aside your devices at least 10 minutes a day. Just set them down. Sit down in your kitchen, okay? The attention that you need, that we all really need to take care of ourselves. It's something that must be prioritized. We're swept out here a lot. We need to be swept again, okay? And this isn't because you should do it, because you're a bad person if you're not. It's nothing to do with should. It's about alleviating struggle and suffering. Okay? Taking good care of yourself so that you aren't in pain. Okay? And finally, the third recognition that you're not alone, that your suffering and your pain from your loss is being shared by so many people around the globe right now. It's shared by so many people who've already lived and so many who will live. It's part of the facts of life. And what we are talking about here is a deep wisdom. That's what wisdom, one meaning of it is seeing reality clearly. And what we are seeing is how life unfolds, and that life unfolds in an ever-changing way. It's not right or wrong, it's true. Okay, it might be heartbreaking and true. Okay, change will happen. We will change even through this loss. We're going to change through it. Okay, and one way to start to feel more at ease with change is through something called the 5 remembrances. They're from an early Buddhist sutta, and they are found in every Buddhist tradition. Many monks and also some lay people will recite these 5 remembrances daily. I'm told that in places like Thailand and Sri Lanka, they tell children every day to recite these. Okay, the 5 remembrances. I'm of the nature to grow older. There is no way to avoid aging. Okay? And the second one is, I am of the nature to get sick, to have illness. There is no way to avoid getting sick and having illness. The third is, I am of the nature to die, and there is no way to avoid death. The fourth is, everyone and everything I love will change. I will be separated from them. And the fifth, my only true possessions are my actions, and I cannot escape the outcomes of my actions, okay? And in this tradition, action means your thoughts, your speech and communications, and your behaviors. And we're going to recite this as part of tonight's meditation as well. We have a culture that really likes to deny that those things are true. And one could argue our entire society is set up to avoid all of this, not because we're jerks, but because it's scary and it's upsetting, and we haven't learned to really practice with it. Okay? And this is the opportunity that we have to really recognize these are the facts of life, and that it's not bad or good. These are just the facts of life. And we can appreciate all of our resources. We can appreciate our precious human birth, right? And appreciate each other's precious human birth, knowing that it's all going to come and go. So we are going to practice some meditation, right? And we will have time for discussion and sharing. But for a little bit, we're going to practice some meditation. And I'd really like all of you to do this meditation in the most comfortable way possible, okay? This is a meditation in which your orientation is to take care of yourself. So you can sit right here, put your hand on your heart. You can lie down. You can stand, or you can do walking meditation, okay? Whatever seems like it will be the most beneficial to you for the next 25 minutes or so, okay? I'm going to let you take your time to find this spot for yourself. And wherever you are, just allowing yourself to exhale. Noticing that you're here. Well, how do you notice that you're here? Well, paying attention to the light entering through your eyes. Smell, taste, the weight of your body. the movement of your breath. And just for a couple of minutes, I'd like you to rest your attention on the sound entering your ears. Okay, so this is a practice in which you don't have to do anything. You're just allowing the sound. Okay, you're not listening, you're not figuring out, you're not trying to understand. You're just letting the sound enter your ears. Okay? And if you don't hear anything, you're noticing the stillness, the lack of sound. Now be quiet for 2 minutes. I'll check back in. When you get caught in a plan or a story, returning to this sounds entering your ears. Just noticing where your attention is. And choosing to experience your forehead, your cheeks, your jaw, experiencing the back of your head, the back of your neck, your shoulder blades, the center of your back, and experiencing your lower back. Bringing your attention to your throat, to your chest, to your belly, to your abdomen. Bringing your attention to your shoulders and the tops of your arms, your elbows, your lower arms, your hands, your palms. Bringing your attention to your seat, to the backs of your thighs, the tops of your thighs, your knees, your lower legs, your feet, the top of your feet and the soles of your feet. Just allowing yourself to experience your head, experience your torso, experience your arms, and experience your legs. And I'd like you to make a connection with your breath. Please take your right hand and place it on your belly, where you can feel the rise and fall of your respiration. contracting as you exhale and expanding as you inhale. And gently being with each breath and counting. One inhale, one exhale is 1. The next inhale and exhale is 2. You don't have to rush anything or slow anything down. Counting to 5. When you get there, start again at 1. And we'll just do this silently for 2 minutes, counting your breaths very gently, beginning again whenever needed at 1. Just noticing where is your attention right now. If you've lost your connection to the breath, that's okay. Gently coming back. The teacher Sharon Salzberg says the healing is in the return. It's that moment when you notice where your attention is and you choose to come back. It's the development of compassion here. So just for a minute more, resting your attention here on the breath, counting to 5, beginning again. And taking a moment to open your attention from just this one object of the breath to other arisings, light, smell, emotions, thoughts, the air on your skin, your breath. This is technically mindfulness, paying attention to these many different arisings just for a minute, and keep your attention with your breath so you don't get swept away. You can have that as like an anchor. Now choosing to bring your attention to the center of your chest, your heart center. You can bring your hand to your heart. And I'd like you to connect with someone who has loved you very easily. Okay. This would be an old friend, a teacher, an aunt, an uncle, maybe a grandparent, maybe a pet. It's not usually a spouse or siblings. Those are complicated. Pick the easiest person, someone or being, someone who's delighted in you. I often use a little cat that has loved me so unconditional. So you might imagine this being, you might just feel their presence here with you. And I'd like you to silently give them these phrases, this loving kindness. May you be gentle with yourself. May you be at peace with the way things are right now. May you be gentle with yourself. May you be at peace with the way things are right now. May you be gentle with yourself. May you be at peace with the way things are right now. And silently repeating these phrases like you're giving a gift to this loving being. Just noticing where is your attention. Maybe you've strayed from these phrases or you've lost the connection. That's okay. Gently coming back, beginning again. May you be gentle with yourself. May you be at peace with the way things are right now. And just for 2 more minutes, continuing to make this offering, this gift. May you be gentle with yourself. May you be at peace with the way things are right now. You can let go of this connection, just noticing your feet, your seat, belly. And now connecting with yourself. You might imagine you're looking in the mirror. You might just put your hand on your heart and feel your presence. Give yourself the same wisdom. May I be gentle with myself. May I be at peace with the way things are right now. May I be gentle with myself. May I be at peace with the way things are right now. May I be gentle with myself. May I be at peace with the way things are right now. Continuing silently repeating these phrases just for a couple of minutes, like you're giving a gift to you. Just noticing where is your attention. If you've strayed from the phrases, it's okay. Coming back, reconnecting with yourself. May I be gentle with myself. May I be at peace with the way things are right now. And just for one more minute, repeating these phrases to yourself like you're giving a gift. May I be gentle with myself. May I be at ease with the way things are right now. And keeping this connection with yourself as you include imagining you and that first being, that being who's delighted in you. Maybe imagining you're together, maybe feeling their presence with you. May we be gentle with ourselves. May we be at peace with the way things are right now. May we be gentle with ourselves. May we be at peace with the way things are right now. May we be gentle with ourselves. May we be at peace with the way things are right now. Just taking a moment to offer this and including others who share your same suffering. If you're struggling with the loss of a friend, spouse, family member, including others in the world who have lost a friend, a spouse, a family member. If you have had a heartbreak or lost a job, got divorced or broken up with someone, including all of those beings in the world for whom this is happening. May we be gentle with ourselves. May we be at peace with the way things are right now. May we be gentle with ourselves. May we be at peace with the way things are right now. You can let go of this technique, keeping your eyes closed, noticing that you're breathing. And I'm going to read the 5 remembrances. I'm going to read them. I'm going to leave a space, and I invite you to recite them after. So it's like a call and response. Number 1, I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to avoid growing older. I am of the nature to get sick. There is no way to avoid illness. I am of the nature to die. There's no way to avoid death. Everyone and everything that I love will change, and I will be separated from them. I'll repeat that. Everyone and everything that I love will change, and I will be separated from them. My actions are my only true possessions, and I cannot escape their consequences. Just allowing yourself to notice your breath, bringing your attention to your feet, your seat, belly. Taking a moment to thank yourself for your practice. And whenever you're ready, taking your time, opening your eyes, bringing your attention to our conversation. So everyone bringing your attention back, turning your cameras back on, taking your time as you do this. We're going to have some small groups. Okay, these will be 3 groups of 3, and the discussion, the prompt really is just what was your experience tonight offering kindness to yourself in the meditation? What was your experience offering that loving kindness to yourself in the meditation tonight? And in your response, see if you can do it without qualifying it or using judgment. So instead of saying, oh, it was good, or oh, it was bad, or I liked it, or I didn't like it, instead describe what you actually noticed arising in your body, your thoughts, your emotions. You know, it might be something like, oh, when I was practicing for myself, I started to feel so sleepy, and then I was thinking about dinner, and then I came back. Whatever it was, there's no wrong answer, okay? And we'll do it for about 12 minutes. So each person will get about 4-ish minutes, you know, to respond. And I'm going to open the rooms right now. George, hi.
Hi.
You know, the class began at 7 Eastern time. So right now, there are breakout groups, and I can put you in one of them. People are sharing their experience with today's meditation. Or George, we can just talk for the next, they're in there for 10 more minutes.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'm sorry I completely spaced out on this, and I had it on my calendar, but I appreciate the reminder. I got the reminder in my email. So yeah, maybe we can just chat.
Yeah.
If that's okay with you.
Of course, of course.
So my interest in this topic has, largely to do with my own personal experience. Both my mom and my spouse passed away in 2020. My mom passed away in April, and then 90 days later, my spouse passed away. We were together for almost 36 years. And, it's been 3 years now since they've been gone, but I still have I still have my moments every day when I feel I miss them deeply and feel very sad. So that was one of the big motivations for me to sign up for this presentation tonight.
Sure, that's really hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really hard. The reason I offer this class and the reason I wrote a book about grief is because it doesn't seem to have, a sort of a timetable, like, oh, I'm going to be better in a week. And it also doesn't seem, in my experience, to go like in a straight line. It's sort of like this, and how can we develop compassion for ourselves through this without trying to control it or ignore it or get over it,
Mm-hmm.
Which it just doesn't seem very useful, For me, the practice of metta, of loving kindness practice for myself, for others, has helped bring a certain amount of gentleness to my struggles, to the grief, and also using mindful attention, to take care of myself, to stop when I'm, feeling that and say, oh, okay, it's here. Mm-hmm. And in my experience, these practices they haven't gotten rid of anything, but I relate to the arising with a lot more patience and gentleness and really just a lot more love.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I can relate to that. It's I have a practice. I've been practicing Buddhism since about 2005. And I have a regular practice every morning and every evening before bedtime, usually like around between 7 and 8 in the evening. And I'm also, I'm a full-time graduate student at Maitripa College in Portland, Oregon. It's a Master of Arts program in Buddhist Studies. So I'm busy, with that. So, I mean, my point in saying all this is that my practice plus my involvement with Maitripa College and the master's program has really been, I think, very helpful in kind of just weathering the storm, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't, I don't have any aversion to emotional reactions that come up. I have moments when I cry every day, and I don't feel any kind of resistance to that. I just kind of let that happen, and I mean it's okay. I mean I'm okay with that. I mean one of the ways in which I think about it is when those moments happen, those are just expressions of the love and the connection that I had with my spouse and with my mom. So
yeah,
that's kind of how I think about that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, I think part of, we didn't talk about this in the class tonight, but also part of grief is, mourning how we planned our life would be. I imagine you planned a life with your spouse. It was, going to unfold like this and we retire here or however it looked for you, And I think part of the grief is also acknowledging that, the disappointment, the change in all the plans that we had, And grief changes us.
Yes.
And how do we meet that change? How can we relate to it?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, we were planning on retiring. We went to Portugal in 2019, and both of us kind of fell in love with it. And we were planning on retiring there in 2021, and then Luke passed away in 2020. So I'm still considering that after I finish this program. as a way to kind of honor our plans, our relationship with each other. And so that's something that's still kind of on the radar. And I'm thinking that I might still do that. The other thought that comes to mind is, it's there are times, not every day, but with some frequency where, during the day, I just kind of, I don't know, I just get this real deep sadness about kind of not having that companionship, I mean, I have like no interest whatsoever in kind of trying to reestablish that with somebody else. I consider this was the love of my life, and I'm grateful for that. But create that with someone else at this point in time. But that being said, I still kind of have these moments where I feel like a deep sense of aloneness,
Yeah. The loneliness is very hard. I think that the sadness and the loneliness is very hard. And again, it's how we relate to it, right? How can we bring all our patience, all our kindness? You describe so beautifully how, sometimes you cry, you have no aversion to it. This is what's arising. And being able to bring that same sense, wow, loneliness is arising. I'm really suffering. Painful. Be able to do that for yourself. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to get your book and read your book. I haven't seen it. I'd like to.
Oh, well, thank you, George. Yeah, that's great. If you have any questions about it, that's great. I'm gonna close the breakout room, so we'll have a discussion in just a minute.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm glad you could make it.
Thank you.
So everyone, thank you. Thank you for sharing with each other. Let's open it up. What was your experience tonight? Do you have questions or comments about the practices?
Do we bow in here? I don't know what in Thich Nhat Hanh's we bow in when we do this. Okay, I'll bow in. My name is Linda, and I really appreciated the maybe I be with the way the things are right now. That's really helpful because there's so many things going on in my life that I would like to be at peace with. And I'm doing a pretty good job with it, meditating twice a day and mostly with sanghas. So, but still, there are times when it's just like, oh no. So Thank you so much for that, Kimberly. Really appreciate it.
Welcome, Linda.
For me, I kept because I'm learning a Tonglen, and my mind kept switching to bringing in the Tonglen, and then when we recited or repeated the 5 remembrances, that just brought me into my body, and it was very intense. And I was thinking of my grandmother, who died when I was 12. She was a loving presence when the rest of my family was not. And she died, she suffered very much of cancer. And so I felt her with me, and like sharing the 5 remembrances. It felt like a radical acceptance, which I did not have when she was dying. And I felt like I was sharing with her. Our connection was so strong. She would just hug me and sob. And when she was dying, because she knew it was just so hard for her to let go. And so I felt it was kind of, well, it was a bit shocking. Like I felt like a somatic shock when I was saying these things. I don't think I've learned yet the 5 remembrances, and but I felt like with my grandmother, I was sharing this acceptance with her that I didn't have when I was 12, and that I think it was hard for her to see me not accepting. So it felt a bit healing, actually.
Thank you for sharing that. It's beautiful. Anyone else? What did you experience tonight?
You know, I wanted to share, I had a reaction from the COVID vaccine, and I've lost my job for 1.5 years. I've been home recovering. I lost my father hasn't talked to me for 2 years. My best friend just disconnected with me like a month ago. So I've been dealing with a loss in many different forms. But I felt during the meditation, my grandfather came to me, who's been dead for 25 years. And I just felt his strong presence. And he kept telling me that we're all getting out of here pretty soon. Nobody's going to be here. So don't entangle yourself with all these things. Look at me, I'm gone. So I felt really comforted by his presence, and my head pulls to the right because of the condition that I developed after the vaccine. But during the meditation, I felt like an amazing calming of my head. And it was interesting. So at a neurological capacity, I feel like there could be a deeper connection between the losses and my recovery even. So I'm very thankful of this, and your guidance and your teaching with all of this, and the Sangha, which I feel the energy is very healing.
Thank you, Arpita. Thank you for sharing. Linda mentioned that we used 2 phrases tonight. May I be gentle with myself. May I be at peace with the way things are right now. That second sentence is an expression of equanimity. Okay? Equanimity is Well, it's the understanding that everything changes. Not everything's in my control. So to be at peace with the way things are right now, it's going to change, right? It's how things are right now. Equanimity also is a sense of being able to be with joyful moments without clinging to them, right? Because you know they're going to come and go. And being able to be with sadness and difficult moments without pushing them away, because they're going to come and go too. Right? It's a sense of balance. And in terms of grieving and loss, equanimity becomes kind of one's best friend, right? Being able to be with this arising, knowing, well, it's going to come and go. I don't have to look away, right? Now, sometimes people come to spiritual practice or Buddhist practice and have a sense like, well, I'm going to practice and I'm going to be totally indifferent, you know, and it gets mixed up with equanimity, right? I'm not going to, nothing's going to bother me. Nothing, I'm not going to care about anything. You know, I'm going to just be totally kind of, it seems like kind of numb, like I'm not going to feel all these things. But that's not what we're saying with equanimity. Equanimity is not indifference. Okay? It's a recognition, actually, that it's not that nothing matters. It's that everything matters. All of our speech, everything we do, all of our thoughts, they matter because they have outcomes, right? But we don't have control over everything in the world, right? The world is not mind control. And so with equanimity, we can have this sense of balance, this knowledge that we won't be destroyed by difficulty, and that we won't be so swept away in excitement that we're not paying any attention to the present moment. All right. Equanimity helps us recognize when we can act and when we can't. Equanimity with others is something like, I love you and I can't make decisions for you. That's a hard one. Okay. So this, may I be at peace with the way things are right now. It is a profound aspiration. So thank you, Linda, for mentioning that. And Julia, who mentioned the 5 remembrances and actually kind of feeling a shock with it. That's how I felt. And I still sometimes feel that reciting them. I am of the nature to die. I cannot avoid death. Like still, there's some part of me who thinks, I don't know, maybe if I eat really well, right? I'm of the nature to grow older. And I look in the mirror and think, what's happening? So it's interesting how we know these things, but they aren't so rooted in us. And that's what, you know, this practice can really do. And when Julia mentioned like getting the shock, but feeling down to earth, that's it. That's it. You know, here we are. We are here. We are present, you know, and we can keep coming back to this experience. You know? Loving kindness meditation, if you're interested in the science behind it, the researchers love it because the repetition of these phrases over and over again, it seems to rewire habitual patterning, conditioning, you know. So they say if you practice it daily, they see less self-criticism, more pro-social behavior. And it seems like what's happening, what brain scientists seem to say, is that, you know, we all have these old habits, all of our past, you know, experiences and learnings. And so our mind is wired to go certain ways, to have certain thoughts, to have certain, you know, and this starts to create new patterns. For most of us, more, less negative, right? New patterns that may be a little less critical, or less harsh. And, you know, I think many of you have had teachings with His Holiness the Dalai Lama. One of the things he says over and over again is we have to have more balance. We have to be able to see, yes, there are negative things and difficulties in the world, and there are wonderful things. We have many resources and appreciation for what we have. And when we have both of these, this balance, then we don't fall into despair. Then we feel resilient and we can meet difficulty. Okay, so that's one thing that metta meditation helps us do. It's not replacing, like turning negative into positive, but it is helping us have more balance and open to it all. So for our final practice tonight, we're going to dedicate the merit. Now, I believe most of you know what this is. It's in all the traditions. It's in the early tradition, and it's practiced. It's a practice of both mindfulness, like noticing when our action is towards the good. Noticing, oh, yes, this is beneficial. Yes. And recognizing that this beneficial action, that our efforts, they're not just lost, that they're potential, they create merit, they create luck, and we can share it with others. Now, in some cultures, like in Thailand, in Sri Lanka, these are merit-making cultures, and there's a belief in those and others that one of the best ways to connect with someone who died is to offer our merit to them. So as we dedicate merit tonight, you are welcome to think of someone who died, and offer them your merit. So let's just take a moment. You can close your eyes. You don't have to do anything special, but maybe just recognizing that beautiful intention you came here with, truly knowing that this hour and a half spent caring for yourself, being patient with each other, using your wisdom and your lovingness has been beneficial. It has created merit or luck or potential, and you can share it. Okay, so through our efforts here tonight, whatever merit luck that we have generated, we'll share it. You can name a loved one in your heart. We can share it with everyone struggling with loss, with grief, with loneliness, with sadness. Through our efforts, may all be healed. May all have glad minds. May all be safe and protected. Thank you all so much. Wiley, thank you. Wiley was coordinating the class tonight. I appreciate it. He's also put in the chat where you can find out more about my work. My website is here, and more about my book, Navigating Grief and Loss. I am going to send out in the morning, I'll send it to the class, just a little information about dedicating the merit in case it isn't something that you're familiar with, and also the 5 remembrances. Okay, I will send that out tomorrow. My email is kim@meditationwithheart.com. You are all very welcome to email me. I'm also putting in the chat here, these were the metta phrases that we used tonight. If you're new to metta practice, I encourage you to practice maybe 15 minutes a day. Just do some mindfulness, share these phrases with a benefactor, someone who's loved you easily, and yourself. And take a moment to offer it to everyone who shares your struggles. Right. And like I said, you have any questions about practice, please get in touch. Thank you all.
Thank you, Kim.
Good to see you, Susan.
Mm.